Hi folks, and time again for another little install video on my Mustang. Over here in the UK, winter is fastly approaching, so I suspect I probably won't be using the car very much across the winter. Once the salt's down and everything, I don't need to use it, so I think it's a shame to use such a nice car when, you know, it's just going to get salt on everything, and it's going to take a lot of cleaning to keep on top of it. So for me, I'd rather just leave it in the garage and use it on nice days when, you know, it might be cold, but at least the roads haven't been salted or whatever. So anyway, as most of us know, modern cars nowadays have so much on them electronic wise that even when they're stood idle, the batteries will drain themselves, and it would really annoy me if I came out to the vehicle one day, decided, oh, it's a nice day, I'm going to go out for a drive in the car, and then it won't start because the battery is flat. So I'm going to install a Optimate. I've treated myself to the new Optimate 6, which is here. This is the latest version of the Optimate. I've got another one there that my wife uses to keep batteries charged for her electric fence in the field, but so I've lost that one, so I bought the latest one. And what I'd like to do is install this wiring loom into the vehicle, so that in such a way that I can connect easily. You know, I don't have to lift the bonnet, don't have to leave doors open, unlocked or anything like that. I just want to be able to connect to it easily, and then at least then if it's an easy thing to do, then you're more likely to do it. If it's difficult and it becomes a pain, then the chances are you won't do it. So this lead, unfortunately, these things are designed mostly for motorcycles, and so this lead's nowhere near long enough, so I'm going to have to extend that. And as with everything, I want to do a really neat install of it. So my plan is, rather than go from the battery, and because the battery's up in that top corner, and then have to route the wiring all the way down past the airbox, which is probably going to be coming out at some time, because I'm thinking of putting a cold air intake on. I think it's probably best that I go from the fuse box side, and I have checked, and these three connections here are all live, permanent lives. I think one probably goes to the starter motor, one goes to the alternator perhaps, I'm not sure, direct to the battery, I'm not even sure, but they're heavy, thick, heavy cables, and they're directly connected to the battery. So I'm going to connect into there with my positive connection, and there's an earth conveniently placed here on the strut tower place there, so you know I'm not going to need much wiring. And then I'm going to route it all down underneath the fuse box and do a really neat job. And then I'm hoping, my plan is that the connector will come out in the grill here somewhere. I'm not quite sure where yet, possibly up in this corner, so it will be pretty much hidden for most of the time, but I can just pull it forward a little bit and then connect up to it, and then when I'm not using it, I can just push it back. The connectors come with a waterproof cover over them, so that's my plan anyway. So I'm just going to crack on, see how much wiring I need to adjust and how I'm going to route everything, and then I'll show you how I've done it when So our first connection, which is the live, which has the fuse on, which I still need access to, that fuse just in case it does blow, is there onto that nice thick heavy cable, and that's that shut down. And then the second one is going to go onto this earth strap here on the where the strut goes, and again that's a nice heavy connector there, so we should get good connection between the two. That's it. So what I will do is I will tape those wires up neatly later, as soon as I know exactly where they're running. That'll all be cable tied up neatly, so it looks like it's been there all the time. and yeah, there's a couple of little lugs here where I can conveniently cable tie to. Now what I need to do is extend this part of the loom so that it comes out of that front grille, and I've got perfect wiring for that. I've got some silicone wire or silicone cable, which is really flexible and is also heat resistant as well, obviously. So I need to take this cover off. This cover here needs to be removed, and then I've got access in then through behind the radiator, and we'll see where we go from there. I hope you can see that okay, but it looks like this this connector, I'm going to have to get a black cover for it, obviously not a red one. I've tried to paint it black but it hasn't worked. In the honeycomb in the grill, in the front grill, there are two sizes of honeycomb. There's the ones there that fits in between quite nicely, but it's not that brilliant. But the bigger one, hole there, if you can see, it fits in there absolutely perfectly. So what I'm going to do is, I don't want it in the middle of the grill, obviously. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill out one of these slots here in this quarter piece in the side there, and probably that one, and I'm going to fit it into there. And you know, when you're looking at the car, you'd be hard pressed to notice that, I suspect, especially with a black cover on it. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fit it in there, and then when I need to connect, I can just leave a little big cable at the back, pull it forward, connect, and then my battery's on charge. And then when I'm not using it, just push it back in, and it should stay there with a bit of luck. So that's what I'm going to try anyway. See how it works. Okay, so what I've done is I've drilled out that pocket there, as you can see, that one there, and I filed the edges all clean on it. So this is the connector for the battery conditioner. So as you can see, that is just going to sit in there. Once I've got the wiring in, it should sit in there quite nicely like that. And then it's got a cover to go over there. I've took it off to try and paint it, see if I can change it from being red to black. But if not, I'll buy a black one anyway, so I'm not too worried about that for now. And then when I need to charge the battery, so that will just sit in there permanently. And then when I need to put the battery conditioner on, my plan is to leave just enough wire at the back so that I can just pull that forward to, you know, there, so I can just grip it and then put the plug in and just leave it hanging there like in that position when it's on charge. And then when it's not on charge, as I say, just push it back in again. So that's my plan anyway. Just need to do a little bit of wiring now, find my silicone wire, and connect it all up, do some nice soldered joints, and then we know we've got a reliable connection. So that's the next job. Okay, progress is being made. So what we've got there is a nice crimped connection with one of the soldered type, one of the heat shrunk type crimps, which I prefer. They tend to be waterproof and much more solid than a normal crimp. And then what I will do is, just to sort of gild the lily, if you like, probably unnecessary, but if I put another piece of heat shrink over the top and then shrink that down with the hot air gun, then you, sorry, you probably can't hear, but then you have, you know, a really good reliable connection that water's not going to get into and isn't going to fail down the road. And that's it. So that's it. So that's the live one done. Just more of the same for the negative wire, and then I will start to feed those through and see where they come out in the engine bay, and hopefully make a connection up to the wires that are already in there. Okay. And I'm just finishing off now, really. I've just got a few connections to make, but what I've used this, let's just see if we can see it, this, like expanding braided armour, I suppose you could call it, because it protects the cables, and it looks very, it's like what they use on the car all over the place, so it looks like it's factory. So I've used that on the main connections from the battery, and then I just wanted to show these connectors, because I was going to solder these wires, but I've decided against it, 'cause if I solder them then they're permanent and I can't connect it if I need to take that connector out at any time. So I don't know if you've ever seen these before. These are called Anderson connectors. They're really neat actually. They're sort of, you can build them into big connectors if you want to. So I've got some of these left over from another job that I was doing a long time ago. But basically, once they're together, you cannot incorrectly connect them. So I would like red and black, but I haven't got any, so it's going to be blue and yellow. But once they're connected, they make a really good sound connection. But the best part is you can't misconnect, you can't put them in the wrong way. So I'm going to make some of those up and connect those to the 2 cables that are coming from the battery, and then the 2 that are coming from the connector at the front, and basically I'll call it job done then. But if I need to remove that connector at any time, all I need to do is unplug those, and there's nothing there to connect on it to anything else, you know, and short out or anything like that. I'm always wary of things like that. So yeah, so those Anderson connectors, they're quite good, and they're reusable as well. They have a little pin that goes in, and you just buy the new pins and then you just crimp them down, and I like to put a bit of heat shrink around them as well, again to keep the moisture out. So yeah, I'll show you that when I've done it anyway. It's a bit fiddly to show on the camera, but they're quite simple to use. Just a simple crimp, and then you push the connector in, which I will show you actually, and you can see how they go. Okay, so the way these work is simple crimp. That. Get a good solid connection there like that, and then what I would do is just heat shrink that over the end, and then that connector, as I say, they're reusable, pushes in there, and when they're in you can hear a nice click, and that's it. So that's one side of the connector done. Okay, so we're nearly there. I've pretty much armoured all of the cable up now. It's that one there that the light's shining on. It's all cable tied up, and there is my Anderson connector just there. So I can literally just pull that apart and pull the cable out if I need to, or obviously just leave it plugged in for when it's in use. Okay, well, it looks like my fiendish plan has worked, and it's going to suit me just fine. So yeah, ignore the red cover on the charging point, because I'm just going to get a black one for that. I did try to spray it with Plasti Dip, but it hasn't worked, so I'll just get a black one when I'll get on eBay or something and find one. But yeah, so basically all I do now, I just pull the connector forward like that, take the cap off, and then find my battery connector, which is here, and plug that in, and as you can see on the wall there, we have connection. So that's going to go into charge mode or check mode now. It's a computerized thing, so it does it all for you. It figures it all out, what's required, what state the battery's in, and you know, it maintains it basically. So I've hung that on the wall, and the reason for that is if I jump in the car and go to drive off, it'll be a timely reminder that I'm actually still connected up. So yeah, that would be a bit of a mistake, wouldn't it, just to drive off while it's still connected. So at least it's right in front of me when I'm sitting in the car. So yeah, just one other little thing I wanted to point out with these Optimates, which I think is pretty good. They come with another little component which basically gives you the state of your battery, tells you whether the battery needs charging in the first place, and it's this little thing here. So what you do is you put it in line, so you connect that up first, and then you see it flashing red there. That's saying that it's connected now, and if it continues to flash, it means that the battery requires charge. Because mine's not flashing, it doesn't require charge. But you can leave that in line if you want to, and connect the charger through it. So you know, you could do that as well. I don't think there's any need really, because you know, you soon know if your battery's getting faulty or it's beginning to fail. So I'm not going to bother with that, but I just thought I'd point it out that it's quite a neat little device, but as I say, not required by me. So yeah, so when I'm finished and I'm ready to go for a drive, or I'll just put the cover back on, poke that back in there, and it'll click in. And like I say, with a black cover on it, nobody will see it. It's not going to be noticed. You have to get down on your hands and knees to spot that. So all in all, I'm pretty satisfied with that, to be honest. Yeah, that's job done as far as I'm concerned. End of another little project. So hope you all enjoyed that, and see you next time. Bye guys.